Mira que él se metió allí como quiera.
Se van en vagoncito. Oh, mira, todos tienen gojo allá.
Así era.
¿El qué?
Yeah.
Estamos en una mina. Allá. Nos vamos a quedar estancados en la mina. Tum, 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 tum. Tum, 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 tum.
Look at this. Look at this.
Nos vamos a quedar en la mina.
Ma,
¿Qué?
Ma, look at this. Look at my foot. When I jump, I'm not going that way.
Esta es parte de la mina y nos vamos a ir a meter en un trencito a la mina.
Sana, I'm sad. You're sad. And you want to die. Yeah. Te tienes que bajar.
You can come all the way over to me, just to group everybody together to get a good view of everything.
Oh, that's how people like this.
As I am pointing out with my light, in case you can't see it, you will see it on the way by. But this small gap was due to strip mining, and definitely back in the day for a good stretch of years, the unfortunate fact of it was, the miners were only paid for mining out the anthracite coal exclusively. So when they did find very large stretches, off to our right here is just an example of some cribbing that they would use in the intersection portions down here in the mine, as it is a little wider section. So just for some extra support, an extra warning sign, they would crib it up, as you see right there. Please watch your step coming forward here. The tracks do split, they're a little raised, so please watch them. Don't trip on them on your way by. Alright, so what we have right here is an authentic coal car from the 190 slope back in the day. So definitely a lot different from what we did come down in, that yellow car. Definitely a limousine compared to what they did have right here. You would just put these wooden pegs in the morning to take down all of your workers and all the tools and supplies that they did have with them. Take it out during the day to fill it up with all of your anthracite coal and natural rock that you did mine out of here. And then once again at the end of the day, just put them back in for the workers. Now there were not a lot of them down here, so you would have to get here early in the morning and stay a little after your shift if you did want to catch one of these coal carts. Other than that, you would have to walk down and up that steep slope at the beginning and end of your day. And if you were carrying a lot of those supplies and it was very heavy, definitely did want to wait for this or get here nice and early in the morning to be able to catch one of these on the way down or on the way back up. Now this machine off to my right here is the electric locomotive. This did essentially replace all of the mules and donkeys down here, which I'll talk about in a later segment. That transition did happen around the year of 1915, and all these would do is take the coal carts along down here and ship them back up to the surface where they would be dumped off, and then it would come back down. Stop here. Alright, so here we have our main anthracite coal face. This is what the miners would be working at during the day. If you did find a very large stretch of it, such as this one, you would want to take your man drill, just like I have right here, hook it up to your stomach, just like this, and then you would want to choose one of these drill bits to stick in the end of your man drill to mine out some small holes in your anthracite coal face by just twisting it just like this with that drill bit on the end of it. Now generally, depending on how large of a stretch you did find, you would want to dig about 10 holes at a time, 4 feet apart from each other. That would ensure when you did stick a piece of TNT or dynamite in each hole that you would be able to count off those 10 separate blasts due to that separation. Just to make sure if you did put 10 separate ones in, you want to make sure your 10 separate blasts did go off, obviously just for your own safety down here. Now when you did stick a piece of TNT or dynamite in each hole, you'd want to connect a fuse to each stick, bundle up all of your fuses, and then get about 75 feet away and hook them all up to the detonator box that I have in front of me right here. Now definitely very important for you to get that 75 feet away. This coal does come out at the speed of a bullet. It definitely was very fast upon explosion, so it can hit you around a couple corners because it can ricochet off a couple of walls. So definitely important to have that 75-foot radius in case you were ready to blast this off. They would also want to yell fire, fire, fire in all 3 locations, obviously just to make sure everybody else in the surrounding area was a safe distance away and everybody was ready for that blast to occur. So I do get a couple volunteers to work the detonator box if you'd like. Usually the kids like to do it if you want. Anybody? Sure, you could do it. That'd be great. You could have one hand on each side for me. Now not only that 75-foot radius was important, again they would want to yell that. So on the count of 3, if you and everybody else can yell fire, 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 and then you can push down. And I warn you guys ahead of time, it is a stereo system. I don't want anybody to have a small heart attack on me when this goes off. So just bear with us, okay? 1, 2, 3. Fire,
Fire, fire, fire.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so definitely I gave you a fair warning ahead of time. That does scare a lot of people. But definitely very important to count off those separate blasts in the audio set right there. How many do you actually think that was in the set? You could just shout it out if you'd like. All right, so it is 10. So as I did say, the normal for the miners would be to put in about 10 at a time. So definitely want to make sure if you were a coal miner back in the day, definitely pay very sharp attention to that, as if you did put 10 in, definitely.
Es que no se cree, me vino solamente rápido.
Everybody back in the corner, knock your heads on the way by. Alright, so if I can have everyone's attention, what we have right here is called the Mule Boy, or the Mule Driver. And this kid can be as young as 13 to 14 years old down here doing this job. He'd have a couple of very important jobs all throughout his day. One would be to hand feed that mule or donkey that he was guiding, making sure he did stay along the tracks nice and smoothly, and didn't go off left, right, or even turn around on those tracks. Now it does sound a little silly that the mule or the donkey would just turn around on the track, And that was due to the unfortunate fact that most, if not all of them down here, did eventually become blind. Unlike all of the workers that did come down here, once the mules and donkeys were brought down here for work, they would never make it back up to the surface. They would build pens for them down here, and they would feed them to keep them overnight at all times. It was pretty rare that they would make it back up to the surface. So definitely over the course of a year or two, due to the lack of sunlight and the lights overall down here, that would not be lit up or anything like that. That's where that sharp wooden stick in the boy's hand right there, that is called the sprag, that's where that would come into play. You would have to jam that sharp wooden stick into the cart wheel. The cart wheel would turn up, lodging in the bottom of the cart itself, and that would generally lock up your wheel, and that would stop your cart. Definitely can overturn it as well, so you wanted to make sure you were nice and careful when you went to go do that. That would be a pretty long process to clean up and get back upright. Definitely with a couple of guys, you need some help with that. But definitely that was their only option. They would have a large supply of them sitting on the side of the rails as they are today. They might even have them in their back pocket or anything like that, a nice satchel that they did have with them. Because if the first one were to break, you would need to have some backups, as that cart wheel was very heavy. So first, second attempt, if that didn't work, definitely want to have some spares down here to use in case that didn't work. To be man-mined, it would most definitely collapse due to the lack of pressure. But since there is a great amount of pressure between two very heavy tectonic plates in the earth, it does still hold firm today. We did have somebody come in here and carbon date this rock back in 1986 before opening up for the public tours. Again, he did estimate around 350 million years ago in this exact spot. Those two tectonic plates did meet, one overlapped the other, and it caused this small cave-in right here. This definitely peg would still be in the in slot at the end of the day. Either you were trying to work another hour or two to make a little extra money for your family, or unfortunately you were caught in a collapse down here. Now the reason I do say this is he was the only man down here with the breathing.
No lo abran mejor. Dejen que... No, es que puede explotar bueno, si prenden un cigarrillo o algo, pero no sé la soda si puede provocar algo acá abajo.
Alright, so what we are looking at right here, the miners did nickname back in the day. This was called the monkey airlock, and it wouldn't be reaching people very high up in your belly vein. So just for proper oxygen levels and air supply, you did have to keep at least one set of those doors shut at all times for the people up in that belly vein. Today we will head in. I ask that you please watch your head, and I will open it up for you guys. You can head all the way to the second set of doors. Just please don't open them, and I'll be around once everybody's in to talk about something in here. And mannequin warning off to your right side, in case you get scared.
How's the little guy doing? Where are you at, little guy? Hey, come underneath, around.
little past. Move forward a little bit. One quick thing to point out right here is this sign has been here forever, but it is a typo. Just to warn you, we haven't gone 116 feet all the way up to the surface. Should say 350, but it does say 250 right here. So just disregard that. Definitely is 350 up to the surface at this point. Alright, so what we have right here is the second emergency escape hatch. This would be used back in the day and today if there was ever a collapse between us right now and our original entrance. Round trip, they would lower down a one-person cart and then hoist you back up. Would take about 10 minutes, but again, this would be our only way back up if there was a collapse between us right now and our original entrance. Now usually I get a volunteer to step up in, preferably somebody with long hair to show the great natural air pressure that does rise up to the surface, along with the two large exhaust fans that we do have up top that does circulate the air all through this half of the tour. So if I do have that volunteer, I'm going to warn you now, you might get wet, so I understand if you don't want to do it. If you still want to do it, that's fine. You can take off your hard hat and your hairnet just so it doesn't fly up to the surface. You can head up in. You might see it on her, but her hair is tied up so you might not. Alright, anybody else want to take a crack at it, even if you don't have long hair? That's fine. Yep, you can step out anytime you want. If you can undo your hair for me, you'd be a great example for us all. It is cold, so if you second guess it, I understand. Alright, so as you can see on the back of her hair, it does stand on end. That is due to the great amount of air pressure that does rise up to the surface. Anytime you want to take a step down is fine. I know you're getting a little wet in there. Anybody else after seeing that? Sure? You don't have to have long hair to step up in. You can do it if you'd like. This will be another good example, I'm sure. So as you can see, hair definitely stands on end. That is due to the great amount of air pressure. Usually a great picture.
Voice. Take note.
For the taller people, right in this middle section, please watch your head.
So what do we got in here? Ooh. That's where we're sleeping at tonight. Yeah. We got sleeping bags and all. We're sleeping up. Yeah. Crawl in here and go sleep.
Alright, so just passing by here, another authentic coal car from the 190.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Joe.
File into the ending point as close as you'd like, just to group everybody together here for our last stop.
Shut that and call him. What's that? Oh, we're at the end of the line. Equilibrium. I know, it's just the one on the tilt.
Alright, so if I can just have everybody